find the merchants, the king and the church, they were, just want to stifle this Robin Hood, and you could see that movie. So it was ruled by the church, but suddenly there were forces that discovered that what? The rule of the church had a problem. What was the problem? They found that the church rule does not give you the freedom to argue. When the church decides on something, you have to follow it. What are they? Let's go to the last one. The science. You remember Galileo? Yes. What did Galileo say?
He said,
the world is what?
Round.
Round. And what did the church say?
The world flat.
The world is flat. So whose rule will stand? Is it Galileo or the church?
Church.
The church. Because you cannot argue with the church. The scriptures say it is flat. However much scientific discovery you had, you cannot go against the church. The other thing which was very interesting is the church also decided that there was no enjoyment. You cannot enjoy. You want to enjoy, wait for the hereafter. After you go in the grave, you enjoy. Even when you marry, you don't say we enjoy marriage. No. We marry to have children. But it's a little bit different in Quran, right? The Quran uses the word istimta. You enjoy. Very interesting in the Quran. And the Quran has no problem with the science. Right? The Quran says the world is what? It's oval shape, isn't it? وَالْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ دَحَاهَا. It's an oval shape. So there's no problem. So we find that there was already a resistance towards that rule. They found that, the rule is against human freedom. So what they did was, they did not say it was the church. They generalized. They said all religions are against science. All religions are oppressive. All religions are against enjoyment. All religion in the world. So they came up with what we call the secularist forces. Secularism. Are you with me? Now, when secularism came, what is secularism? Secularism simply means a system that does not believe in collective or the so-called social norm, private. So they change a lot of things. Secular is here. It's a Latin word which means here, not in the hereafter, which means material, not something immaterial. It's a belief that what matters is material. What matters is this world. So they went in the other extreme. So what did secularism do? From human freedom perspective, they went to absolute freedom. They went to excessive enjoyment. From public sector, they went to private enterprise. And then science and the market became the new religion. Are you with me? Even today, in normal circumstance, if you ask somebody, do you know this issue? Yes, I know it. Why? Science has proven it. It's right. It's the market. It's right. Science is right. So it has become like unconsciously the new belief, the market and the science. Now, this is very fundamental here. The one down. Now, the so-called rule of the church are replaced by theories. Are now replaced by theories. So all your economics today and finance, conventional, are nothing other than theories. So they came up with the theories to replace the rule of the church. The first theory they said is, they came up with hedonistic theory. Maximize your gain and minimize your pain. Does it sound familiar in economics?
Yeah.
Maximization of what? Profit and minimization of cost. Yes, cost. So they came with the theory of relativity. Everything is okay. You drink alcohol, you're okay. You don't drink alcohol, you're okay. You wear to do, it's okay. You don't wear to do, it's okay. Theory of relativity. So the entire economic life became none other than theories. With me? So what we are doing now is we are saying no, we are going to look at this thing a little bit different. We are not against theories, but our theories must be guided by our revealed knowledge. Are you with me, by the way? It's not moving. Okay. Now, I'm sure this you have gone through already. Now, the theories that is shaping our life today. And we are faced with two dilemmas, and there is a lot of statistics that were done. The question is, are Muslims both Islamic and materialistic? In other words, do they coexist? So we are facing that dilemma of scarcity and unlimited wants. So the theory says that this is what we are. Whether in a state of abundance or scarcity, we have scarcity mentality. Every time that you go, not enough. Every time there is that scarcity mentality. This is what the theory says. But interestingly, from an Islamic perspective, that theory is defeated by putting what? Islam puts some kind of norms for us to see how to go about this so-called abundance and scarcity mentality. Are you with me? So, this is us, unlimited wants. So the theory says we have unlimited wants and scarce resources. So all the time we are moving towards that part of the world. So to summarize the first part, before we go down to the so-called private sector, that the dominant thinking that we have today, the dominant system, is basically we are being governed by theories, and these theories are not stagnant, right? They keep on what? Evolving. They keep on evolving. Every day you have new theories coming, and these theories are conflicting to one another. They keep on coming, just to guide our lives. And sometimes also we, the lecturers, we tell our students, you know, without theories, you cannot do your research. You cannot do. And sometimes the student want to come up with few verses and Islamic principles. No, come up with a theory to guide. Okay? We are also obsessed about the theories. Theories guiding us. Okay? So, the second part, which I want to bring to our attention is that when you look at economics, whether you're talking about the private sector, you're talking about the public sector, from an Islamic perspective, what is our main source? What is our primary source? Reference? Quran and Sunnah. Right. So when you look in Quran, you open Quran, what do you see? Ayat, you don't see tomatoes, you see verses. Right? Verses. Good. So those verses are considered as facts. Those are not theories. Are you with me? All the verses in Quran are facts. وَمَا كَانَ حَدِيثًا يُفْتَرَى. They are not myth. Like in Surah Yusuf. They are not myth. وَلَكِنْ تَصْدِيقًا. It is what? A truth. لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. It is the truth which Allah has revealed. These are facts. That's why you find the word have to use a lot in the Quran. Now, if what you see in the Quran are facts, then where are the theories?
Theories.
Are you with me or not?
Still.
Yeah, okay. Where are the theories?
Theories, the implementation.
Implementation.
Prediction.
Ijtihad.
Ijtihad. Okay. So what Ijtihad does?
The fatwa.
Fatwa, okay. So the fatwa develops what?
Fatwa develops guidance.
Guidance, okay. Okay. So, do we know what a theory is? What's a theory? I like what you say, I'll come back to that. What's a theory? Assumption. Okay, another word came again, assumption. Okay? Assumption you like to test. So this is another new word, assumption. Huh?
A tested assumption.
Tested assumption.
Yeah, proven, right?
Proven.
Proven. Okay, who proved it? Over time.
Scientists.
Okay. That's good. We have assumption, tested. Okay. Theory, usually, theories, you have different definition of theories. But theories normally is an abstract of reality. Abstract of reality. People tend to see relationships in theories. But for something to become a theory, it has to pass two tests. Two tests it has to pass. One, we call it validity. Validity is what? To measure what exactly you want to measure. If you put 2 kilogram tomato on a scale and it shows you 2 kilogram, the scale is valid. You put 2 kilogram cucumber, it shows you it's 2 kilogram, it's valid. Reliability is consistency. That means, yes, good. When they are tested over and over and over again, they remain consistent, then they become theory. If there is no more room to test them, they become what?
Fact.
They become law.
Law.
That's why you have law of supply and
Demand.
demand. Are you with me?
Yes, yes.
Although these of recent are debatable, okay? Now these are theories, and the brother used a very interesting term, assumption. What's an assumption?
Strong.
Assumption is part of the truth. Part of the truth. If students are absent in class, what could be the reason? Sleepy?
Sick.
Sick?
Having breakfast.
Having breakfast. I like that. Having breakfast with, so Dr. Nizam, so this morning all the question will be on breakfast. Huh? Okay, yeah, true. Okay, yes. So you see, you gave 3 reasons. Huh? Breakfast, sleep, sick. These are all true, right? So if you pick one of the reason, which is part of the truth, and you want to do analysis on that, we call it assumption. You said, assuming the students are sick, then you do your analysis, because it's part of the truth. Assumption is part of the truth. And that is true that for us to test hypothesis, we need to have those assumptions. We need to have those assumptions to test. Okay? Now, I was still raising the question, if Quran are facts, what's the truth? I don't know whether you have heard somebody, he's either Korean or a Japanese, I forgot his name. He tests molecules of water. I forgot his name. Anybody knows about him? Japanese. Okay, good. This guy, he was doing some tests. The assumption which people say was, he wanted to test whether religions are myth. So he was testing, look at different myths in religion. Then he wanted to test, is Islam a myth or not? You know what's a myth? A myth is something which has no proof, and it's not connected to reality. Our grandmother used to tell us stories, right? There is an animal with 7 heads, 12, these animals don't exist. These are myths, all right? So when he read, he found that in those old days, Muslim scholars will treat their patients by reading Quranic verses in water, all right? They read Quranic verses, they give to you drink. So he raised a question, he says, what's the relationship between reading, water, curing? How can words in water cure somebody? So he started looking at the patterns of water. And you know the interesting thing? Every pattern, every Quranic verse will give different pattern of water. And he started his test very nicely. He put water, somebody comes and say something in the water. Then the person became very bad. He said, what did you say? He said, I said stupid water. Then again, stupid water, somebody says something. The person was very nice. He says, what did you say? He says, I say beautiful water. But when Quranic verses were read, the molecules were sparkling. I used to have it actually in my computer, but I lost that computer. Interesting, wallahi, interesting. For you to see particularly the water of Zamzam, incredible. To see the protein, the crystal of that molecules. So the conclusion is what? That even things which you think you cannot prove it scientifically, they are facts. I admit they are facts. That is why when you eat, you are told to do what? To say what? What do you say?
Bismillah.
Bismillah. Now you have not eaten breakfast. When it comes, Olapa. Then suddenly you have a problem in your stomach. You know why? Because you did not say Bismillah. The molecules of your food may be very, just joking. So the point here is, those Quranic verses are what? They are facts. Then what is the theory? Like the brother say, the theory will develop from those facts. Because you can go from facts to theory or theory to facts. So from the Quranic perspective, we look at those facts and develop a pattern. A pattern of that behavior and test it over and over. Are you with me? Okay. Now this is the crux of our talk, and I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of this diagram because Dr. Naha will be talking about the third sector. Dr. Naha will be talking about this. So we are going to touch on this and we'll touch on this. The private sector, and we'll touch on the public sector. The market. Now, you remember we said earlier on that the market is what? Science and the market is the relation. That means everything is in the market. You touch the market, you touch everybody's nerves. Even you touch the nerves of the politicians. We'll talk about the market. The market is everything today. Now, they call this market perfect competition. What's a perfect competition? We are all students of economics. By the way, how many are students of economics here? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget I'm in the economics department. Okay, sorry. So, now I will bring the talking. The word perfect means just and fair. Just and fair. And take the word competition. They say the market will be what? The market will be just and fair. Means the competition in the market is just and fair, but it can only be just and fair if you fulfill those assumptions. Okay? Remember we say assumption is what?
One of truth.
If this truth exists, then the market will be perfect. Means just and fair. But remember, we say part of the truth. In other words, we also assume that the assumption will be a reality. But the problem with the neoclassical economics is that most of these assumptions are not real. Are you with me? They don't exist in real life, at least partly. Now let us see. Number one, that you will have so many buyers and sellers in the market. But the reality today is many of the market is monopolistic. Okay, many of the market is monopolistic. So it means the market will not be just and fair. So they say the goods are almost the same, similar goods. Many of you who buy telephone gadgets, I'm sure every month, they are not the same, right? The features keep on changing. Features keep on changing. So those assumptions may not be partly true. Free entry and exit. You want to come and sell in America, you're free. You want to go outside America, you are free. I want to sell in China, I'm free. many of you are beginning to shake your head, right? Why are you shaking your head? Because you know there's something going on, right? What's going on in the world? Trade war, right? So that means their whole theory about perfect competition is put into question, isn't it? There's nothing called free exit and entry. It's basically protectionism. Everybody's protecting himself because the reality is that you cannot have free exit and entry in real life. There has to be a certain degree of protectionism. Then they say what? No information asymmetry. Meaning whatever the seller knows, the buyers know. Let me ask you an interesting question. If you go to buy a telephone, you think you know better than the telephone seller? It doesn't work this way. In fact, he knows more. He can sell you an old telephone and he says, okay, it's new, right? So the information is not true. So if there is information asymmetry, and our fifth brothers, they call it jahala. That means there's ignorance in the market. People don't know. So the biggest problem in the conventional market today is information asymmetry. How does it happen? When they give loan to people who don't deserve loan. And when these people receive the loan, they misuse the loan. Moral hazards. So this is all arising because of the information asymmetry. Are you with me? Now, even if we assume that all these assumptions are correct, that the market is operating very nicely in competition, but still the market will not be perfect. You know why? Because they ignore moral and ethical assumptions. Are you with me or not? Their assumption does not include riba, does not include gharar, does not include maisir. And you know, many studies show that the biggest problem, our biggest economic problem today is because of what? Riba. The interest rates. In fact, all the turbulence in the economy is, you can bring all the assumptions, so long as the economy runs on riba, it will never enrich anybody. In fact, this is what the Quran says, right? The Quran tells us, yes, that وَمَا أَتَيْتُمْ مِنْ رِبَا لِيَرْبُ فِي أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ فَلَا يَرْبُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Once you give riba, you think it will increase the wealth of nation. On the contrary, it will not increase. Why? Because riba takes from the poor and transfers it to the rich. So the gap continues to remain bigger and bigger. Okay, because this is what riba does. And the market is also full of speculation. Speculative market. The volume is more than 800% in the financial markets compared to real goods and services. Are you with me? So even with this assumption, yes.
I think riba is not taken only from the poor. It is using between the rich.
That is true. Okay, thank you very much. So what I'm trying to say here is, thank you. What I'm saying here is transfer resources. I agree with you that as far as riba is concerned, because the hadith condemns almost 4 persons, right? Akilu riba, the one who is taking riba, the one who is giving riba, the one who is writing riba, the one who is witnessing riba. But what I'm saying here is the transfer of money, because we charge riba on the poor because it is the rich that has the capital. The capital is from the rich. If you come to borrow money, you don't borrow money from the poor, you borrow money from the rich. So the one who imposed interest is the rich. So when he imposed interest, wealth is transferred from the poor to the rich. So this is what I'm saying. That riba,
The rich getting richer.
yeah, the rich getting richer and the poor poorer because money is transferred from the poor to the rich. And in the same verse of the Quran, Allah also compares zakah. That if you give zakah, zakah will make you rich. Why? Because zakah takes from the rich and give it to the poor. So the gap becomes narrower. This is what I mean. Is it okay? Does it answer your question?
Maybe the rich can be dianalogikan dengan creditor.
That is true.
Creditor and debitor.
Exactly, I agree. But what I'm saying here, I agree. What you're saying in another context is correct.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying here is because of transfer of money from the poor to the rich. Yeah, what you said is correct. Yeah.
Because usually the creditor one is the rich one.
Yeah.
They have the money to lend to the people. The one who need the money usually the poor.
But today the rich won't give money to the poor if the rich doesn't know the poor is capable to pay the loan back.
But we have shut
System
down
bank.
and
It's system bank, not.
But if in that term is they still they of course they don't choose those who don't pay back. But there are some of them who can pay back. But still they need money because they are poor. So in other words, if they are rich, they won't even borrow money from other people.
This is just a normal case.
Yeah.
You don't want to be different than normal case.
One is the rich bank and everything else.
Okay. Thank you very much. So now my idea here is that if we look at the market structure, look at this important point here, perfect competition and the assumption. I say that the market cannot be perfect, cannot be just and fair because those assumptions are not realistic. They don't work in real life. Secondly, those assumptions did not take into consideration what? The ethical values. And I'm sure many of you know in 2008 and 2007, there was what? Global financial crisis. And many people for the first time, they discovered that the problem of those crises were actually what? Greed. Okay? People became greedy. And it was sparked by those subprime, if you remember very well. Until one professor in Harvard, he wrote a very interesting book in the College of Business. He calls it Excellence Without Soul. I'm sure many of you read that material, right? He says Harvard is number one, but he says we produce students who don't have the soul. Because many of the people involved in the scandal in Wall Street were Harvard graduates. Okay? So then he says, when we come to class, we tell our students, you have to be a good technician. You have to be good economist. You have to be good this. He says, we never tell them how to be good people. You see? So imagine they discover that they never tell their students how to be good. That moral aspect is missing, that ethical aspect is missing. In fact, you can go to Professor Google and type excellence without soul. Professor Google will give you that reference. The first introduction of that book is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so moving on, or moving forward, we come to, just let me ask you, before I go to we go to the market first, then I'll come to the Islamic perspective. The market usually works on price signal. Meaning, the moment they say sale, what do you see first? Price, isn't it? It's the price that will signal to you whether to buy or not to buy. Are you with me? Yes. But for a Muslim, is price signal the only signal you need to have? If they say pork, 20 cents, will you buy? No, of course not. Right, isn't it? So price signal becomes secondary. For you, your values become number one, right? Even if it is cheaper, but that values of yours will guide you whether to buy or not. So that value is very important. So the market is on more. Remember? Unlimited ones. Now, sure now is becoming bigger and bigger. You look at the climate change, that's affecting, right, pollution. And I was reading yesterday, in Greenland, they lost the glaciers already because of global warming. Isn't it? And see the tons of food that we waste. The heat. A lot of wastage in the world happening. Israf. Being tabdhir. And see the corruption index. And you see even bigger one. See income inequality. Now in America they talk about the 1%. 1% of the population own 45% of the entire wealth. Isn't it? So, and the middle income is 90%, the low and middle income. So in other words, there's a problem between the social and the societal goals. Okay? Are you with me? I'm moving quickly because many of you are not economists, so I cannot go into economic jargons. I have to make, especially after you did not take your sarapan pagi, I have to make sure you're focused. So yeah, at least you can interact. Okay. So let me just try to recapitulate what I have said, just for the purpose of everybody. We have looked at that conventional perspective that usually the markets assume to be what? That is just and fair. And we have seen that a lot of those assumptions don't work in real life. In other words, they are theories, but there's a gap between those theories and facts. Because the facts doesn't show to what the theories are. And secondly, those assumptions, so long as the economy runs on riba, runs on gharar, the economy will never always be perfect. Right, me? And finally, for us Muslims, it's not just only about price signal, but also we look at what? Our values. Are you with me? Okay, good. Now I just want to ask one question here, which is very interesting, about competition. Now, and I'm going to put it together. If you look at Islamic history, they were, mashallah, rich Sahaba, right? I'm sure many of you know about the rich companions. Among them, of course, you have people like who? Can you mention her?
Usman.
Yes, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Abdurrahman ibn Affan, Abu Bakr, all this. But I like the one you mentioned, Abdurrahman ibn Auf. And I'll come and tell a little bit about him later. But let me just tell the principle first. In the Muslim society at that time, when they do business, if the other shop people come to buy, and the next shop there is no customer, you know what they do? SubhanAllah. The second customer that comes to say, please go and buy in the next shop, because no customer has come to that shop. You see the ummah? Huh? It is not competition against you, it's cooperation. They are competing, but they are what? They are cooperating. Now coming to that Sahaba, which the sister say, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, radiallahu anhu, that Sahabi came to Al-Madinah and he was what? Very poor. Why? Because they took everything from them in Mecca, right? And then the Prophet ﷺ paired him, with Sa'd ibn Rabi'. And Sa'd was so rich. He told Abdurrahman ibn Auf that, I will give you half of my wealth. Huh? And he goes to the extent and says, I have 4 wives. Huh? You had a Baba, sir?
You will give one of them.
Huh?
You will give one of them.
Yes.
For the time
Now the
being.
sister will become angry if you say there's somebody bermadu sini. I think you have ada Baba 3. Satu aja. Kullukum muwahhidin, ha?
Wahidin.
Okay. So, look at Abdurrahman ibn Auf. Believe me, if any of us go in that situation, you know what we'll do? We'll say, yes, please, I'm very poor, help us. Wallahi, that was not the Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were not brought up to, to be like that. He says, "Dalluni ila suq." Show me where the market is. I will not take your money. But of course, he prayed first. He says, "Barakallah fi amwalik, barakallah fi zawjatik, and barakallah." And all this says, show me where the market is. And he worked in the market, they said, subhanAllah. And of course, also the Prophet ﷺ prayed for him to have barakah. He said, because of sadaqat, I don't know how many of us give sadaqat there. Sadaqat. Ma naqasa ma'alun min sadaqatin. Wallahi, the wealth you give, it will never deplete if you give sadaqah. So Abdurrahman ibn Auf, radiallahu anhu, used to give sadaqah to the extent that he says, Wallahi, when I walk by the rock, I'm almost certain if I turn the rock, I'll find gold because of those barakah. But he says that the Ahlul Madina shuraka fi malihi, aw fi amwalihi. The people of Medina were partners in his wealth. How? Just come to what the brother was saying. A third of his wealth, he will give to them as sadaqah. A third, he will help to repay debt of the people, And then he will also give some as qard. And then he continues to do his business. So the point I'm saying here is, look at that cooperation and partnership. The Ummah never accumulated wealth, but all their arzaq, they shared. Shared prosperity. Are you with me? Shared prosperity was very fundamental. So in other words, the idea of competition. So I give you a second example, which was very interesting. Somebody was telling me in Saudi Arabia, there was a shop. That shop sells these perfumes, etc. So they brought a manager from UK. A manager came from UK. So when the manager came, he took over the shop in Mecca. Muslim manager. Then another company came next to them. Also a competitor. They started constructing. Then the owner of the shop, he told them, please give them food to the workers, help them, and all this. The manager was surprised. Why this owner of the company wants to help our competitor? So he was, trying to say, okay, let me see how it goes. Then they helped them until they constructed the building and all this they started. Then the man, he became indebted. He borrowed some money, but the business was not doing good. So the owner instructed the manager that please give money to pay their debt. So he could not take it. He says, boss, can I talk to you? He says, yes. He says, in UK, we don't do business this way. This guy is almost dying. We wipe him out because he's our competitor. Then this guy said, no. In Islam, we don't do it this way. Because our risk is not in his hand. Our risk is not. He says, in fact, we open a lot of door for our arzaq if we help him. You look at the psychology, it's a little bit different, isn't it? But for us today, sometimes because of the capitalistic environment, we tend to behave that way also. His business like, alhamdulillah, pray rakatain also. Okay? So that is very fundamental, that the environment in which we operate, that Islamic perspective is very important. Yes, we compete, but we compete for khair. And at the same time also we cooperate in our competition. And whatever prosperity Allah gives, we share that prosperity. Okay? Now let us move very quickly to the producer's perspective. Sometimes I don't keep time. Oh, another 30 minutes. Huh? Now when it's almost towards the end, I'll say it's in conclusion, so that I give you some towards the end. Are you with me? Okay. Now, the producer, what's happening? Okay, this already, I talked to you about. So the producer, from the conventional perspective, I think this already I talked to you about this, so let me move to the next one. Okay? So these are the factors of production. And this one is very fundamental. You see, in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that everybody in the economy is supposed to have this. Okay? People are shuraka fi thalath. And in another hadith, they give the fourth. Water and its resources must be made accessible to what? To everybody. So this reminds me of Turkey. Anybody from Turkey? Huh? Yes. In Turkey, all the nice beaches and all the sea were privatized. So the citizens had no access to anything. All in private hand, you have to pay. So when the government of the current president, what's his name? Erdogan. When he came to power, he started buying all a lot of those beaches and made it public goods for everybody to go and enjoy. You can fish, you can have access to this thing, which is very interesting in line with this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that make it common for everybody. You cannot privatize. Because if you privatize, then people have no access to economic living. Even those who want to do business, they cannot do it. Then the other thing is also sources of energy. And we have to take energy everywhere. MashaAllah, in Malaysia, I was reading recently, how many percentage of the Malaysian public have access to electricity? I think Dr. Aniza will tell us from behind. Exactly, 97, 98%. Thank you. 98% have access. And also we find a lot of Muslim countries are moving towards the direction, and I think there's also a very interesting blueprint in Indonesia towards clean water and moving that direction. So mineral oil also, strictly speaking, it should not be a private company. Even if it's a public company, but the public company should not be cronies. They should be good because it's supposed to be property of the people. And then, of course, land should be made accessible to everybody. Once this is made accessible and people are comfortable for their basic needs, then these are some of the factors of production in economics. If you want to produce, you need what? You need capital. But in economics, they also talk about capital goods, like machineries for producing. You need land, you need labor, you need managers to help you organize your work. And then, of course, nowadays, this is what? Very important, especially the fintech, disruptive technology. The biggest car company in the world does not even own one car, right? Isn't it? The biggest mall in the world does not even own one mall, but running all the malls. So disruptive technology has become very important. Now, in conventional economics, the private sector has only one way of rewarding these factors. For this one, they give interest. This one, they give rent. This, they give wages. The profit goes here. And of course, they have also a reward for technology. Now, among all of them, who do you think gets the least? Who gets the least reward? Which one gets the least pay? You produce labor. Labor get less. Always they will suppress what? Labor. And believe me, tomorrow you will become managers. If you suppress labor, you know what happened to you? What does the hadith say? Allah will be your khasm. Allah will be the one who will challenge you on the day of Qiyamah. Can you challenge Allah? need to suppress labor. In fact, we need to share with labor. And the guys who get more are these. The interest rates come here and here. But subhanAllah, from Islamic perspective, it's so flexible. And I don't want to, I'm sure many of you studied about what? Murabaha. What else you studied? Mudaraba, Musharaka, Muzara'a, Istisna.
مخابرة
مخابرة. عملتوا مخابرة ليه؟
يعني نوع من مزارع
نوع من مزارع ما شاء الله. أتعلم منكم مخابرة. لا خبر. Okay. Yes. What else?
استثناء.
استثناء السلم.
السلام.
إجارة. الإجارة.
قرض الحسن.
Yes. What's the difference between قرض and قرض حسن?
الربا
ربا. No, قرض is not riba.
No, interest, Qard Hasan without interest, or I think
No.
something like that.
Are you sure? No.
قرض الحسن. This is same.
Yes.
Qard Hasan without interest.
سم
No. I think maybe you're talking from a conventional
Perspective.
Yes. قرض, there is no return. Are you with me? There's no what? No return on qard. In fact, that's very interesting. I'm making a very interesting statement here. Big one. In Islam, there's nothing called loan for business. Are you with me? There's nothing called loan for business in Islam. It does not exist. Oh, you're spoiling our breakfast, huh?
I think this statement is really
Very strong, right?
strong.
Okay. Then how do we do business? Okay. You see, you know something called opportunity cost?
Yes.
What's an opportunity cost?
We have
Yes, the chances you have to forego because of other opportunities. Right. Now, in interest, when they give out loan, they charge interest because of what? Opportunity cost. They said if I invested this money for a certain period of time, they do discounting right. In the future value and present value, I will earn this much amount of money. Therefore, you pay me my opportunity cost. Are you with me?
Yes.
In other words, in conventional economics and finance, opportunity cost is always material and market. Are you with me? I'm making a very interesting statement. It's always material and what? And market. But in Islam, it can be both. Meaning, material and market, and then material and non-market, non-material. How possible is that? The Quran tells us in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, فَنَعُوذ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمُعَةِ فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. Now Quran is comparing two opportunity costs, bay' and salah. He says, وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. Okay? Leave your business and go what? And pray. Now what is the opportunity cost of leaving my business, Ya Rabbi? Are you with me? And in fact, Allah is answering that in the same verse. ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. There's a higher opportunity cost if only you know. And where's that opportunity cost? Where is it going to, where are you going to get it? things in Islam is used as a social instrument, social variable. Qard. When you give, your reward is not in dunya. Your opportunity comes in akhirah. Because qard is given for need. That's why when the Prophet ﷺ and Jibreel, they came in Isra wal Mi'raj, they saw at the door of Jannah written, what? When you give qard, you get 18. You give sadaqah, you get only 10. Then he asked, he says, وَمَا بَالُ الْقَرْضَ أَفْضَلُ مِنَ الصَّدَقَةِ. Why is it that the word for qard is much more than sadaqah?
Because when you want to give sadaqah, you are giving by yourself. There is no one asked you to give this sadaqah. But those people who are asking for qard, they are needy. They really want this money.
Exactly. That's true. Exactly what as the hadith says. Yes. Sahih. Okay? And that is true. So because people ask in contingency when they're in need. So when you give qard, you expect them to pay back. When you give qard hasan, you don't expect. If they pay, okay. They don't pay, it's okay. But in both cases, you don't take material reward. But the problem is, we take it through a back door. We use very interesting terms. Service charge. Nasilama charge. All the charge we're using. Administrative fee, administrative fee. Performance fee. All those good terms. Wallahi no. That is why if you want to do business, you don't give loan. What do? Yes. You put your money and participate in the risk and reward. Don't give somebody money, you are safe. Alhamdulillah, pay. No. It doesn't work this way. And I would like you also to remove the word financing. Personal financing. What? Okay. No, it's not financing. It is qard. Give qard and get reward from Allah. Be like Abdurrahman ibn Auf, radiallahu anhu. People say his money was in his pocket, not in his heart. Qard. If you want them to participate, then let them participate in their skills, their entrepreneurship, their work. Okay, then the ummah will go high. But the moment we give qard this way, you know what we are creating? We are creating societies of indebtedness. Are you with me? Okay, so qard and qard hasan. Okay? 10 minutes more. Then I open for your question and answer. I am
Sir, in the context of cards, in the context of saving product in the Islamic bank, are the customer getting pahala from giving?
This brother is spoiling my morning. He's asking very tough questions. That if we save our money, are we getting pahala? For the pahala is only Allah who decides. Whether you're getting or not. But in fact, the Muslims also used to keep money with non-Muslim. Non-Muslim used to keep money with Rasulullah. But the only thing is you have to ensure that your money is utilized properly. And if you have any shubha, then for a Muslim usually it's better to avoid what? Shubha. But another difficulty we face is what they call akhaf al-dararain. The lesser evil. Sometimes you keep your money in the house, they will steal it. So it's better. What many Muslims do in the Western world is they will keep their money as a deposit in the conventional, but they remove the interest portion, they don't use it. because if they keep their money in the house, a lot of transactions they cannot do. Because now people talk about e-wallets, people talk about transaction using cards, they need to access your bank and all this, then your life will be very, very what? Very difficult. But the best thing is, this should be temporary as you find solution to migrate to something better. Okay, something better. So my advice is, إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. So it's just, I mean, yes, that by saying Islamic, it means it's already 100% good. The one says Islamic economics has passed all tests, it's already Islamic, nothing. But of course, if you go inside, even that Islamic still is a problem for that standard. So my view is, and Allah knows best, that this is a marhala, this is a transition. For this transition that we are going through, because the moment you say economics, then you also give opportunity to others to argue their case. But the moment you say Islamic, then many of you will begin questioning and saying, what is so Islamic about it? Okay? So that level, because our size is still very small, like in the night lecture, it's only 2% if you're talking about Islamic finance, even not even Islamic economics. So my view is, we may need to use this word as we continue until we have a critical mass. Once we have a critical mass where people recognize that this is how Sharia economy works, this is how Islamic economy works, then we move. In fact, interestingly, in Turkey, they don't call it Islamic bank previously. They call it participation bank. You know why? Because the moment you say Islamic, they will shut it down. Because of the secularism, false. Only of recent now, they are coming in the mainstream using the word what? Islamic. Just last 4 months, I had a training with the Central Bank of Turkey, and for the first time we're using Islamic bank. So Islamic was, so it's a question of, it's a strategy, more of a strategy. So my view is that the strategy is we need to use it until we have a critical mass. And I do agree with you that Islam is not just for Muslims. Islam came as what? Rahmatan lil Alameen. Yes, it has to be included. What do you consider as basic necessity? So that you will be able to buy Hajj, to go for Hajj, etc. Basic necessity varies with time and place. Okay? For example, previously, computer was not a basic necessity. Today, computer has become what? A basic necessity. A lot of other things which we have not basic necessities today, they are basic necessities. Education, marriage, all these are basic necessities. So, for a person going to Hajj or paying zakah, like you said in the case of Indonesia, you know your situation better. And for some people, of course, they will look at the long term. Because sometimes your savings, you may need, let's say, 4, 5, 6 years to go for Hajj. Let's say every time you have extra saving, then you keep that saving until, inshallah, you go for Hajj. You go for Hajj. So, the basic needs will vary with time and place. And it is up to you to decide.
So it depends on the individual judgment.
Exactly. But although countries normally give standard of living, they give minimum wage, they give, but usually this does not really explain the need. That is why the Quran speaks very nice. So for a person who is able and who determines, you are better to determine that situation than other people. Once you have the money, you can do anything under the sun.
Yeah, actually the concept can be as a part. It's just like a concept.
Okay, just let's go by what we have. Yes. By time and anything, okay? Now, me, if I am going to do my analysis, trying to match this to what you say here. Okay? Now, some of the scholars, conventional Muslims, they say it depends on the individual. Okay? I as an individual, this constraint, I don't want to buy pork, I don't want to buy this, and I'll just go buy this, budget spend on this. Are you with me? Is it my values or not?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so then how will it differ with this? If the same value I transfer, I put it in this graph, the whole thing in the graph, will you be convinced?
Yeah.
So that's the problem, you see.
That's not
Now you are convinced, you're convinced because I took the whole value and brought it in the conventional structure. Then you say, okay, it's okay. But if I leave it as Islamic, you say, no, you're imposing.
No, I mean like
This is the point I'm raising.
yeah.
Because here, if I go by that analysis, they said, okay, you're relative, you're a Muslim, you're this, you're a non-Muslim, you're this, okay. But if I put these values, and I say to the non-Muslim also, they want to spend on their family, they want to spend on their parents, they want to spend on all this, they want to do right. And if they don't want to give zakah, they give charity, it's okay. Are you with me? But as a Muslim, I'll give zakah. So if I do this conventional thing, tell me how many percent you're practicing that in real life. This analysis they give you of this indifference curve and all this. Do you in real life say, oh no, I'm spending up here up in the indifference curve. Oh no, do you do that in real life? That's the point I'm saying. Here, a behavior that we do. That one is for intellectual wrestling. Okay, we do it. Analysis, we show us, we're very happy. But when it comes to real application, most of this assumption I was telling you from the beginning, it's very difficult to say because the new classics, and in fact, read the Shia economics in Australia, they are now moving away. They are conventional also. They have a full book. See how they are moving away from these assumptions. Which they say, it doesn't really reflect what human beings, just type C, S-H-E. Read that one. Then you will see how they conventional themselves are saying, this is not realistic. So if they are saying it's not realistic, why should I go by them? When Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me my deen and I can practice, and I can do this. Maybe as a step forward. And the second step I did was, I tried to collect some data to see how the pattern of behavior is. It's not just like this. There's another thing, I collected the data, which I'm trying to do analysis and see how many people fall in this category of behavior. Later, maybe I develop a structure of that analysis. So, we must begin somewhere and move. So that's what I think is sincere. Economic perspective. Because the writing was not really in this form. It was in a writing form, writing. So I think one way to develop, I'm sure you did something like stemology, one way to develop the system and methodology of extracting those views, because there are rich resources in those views. The same thing that you see, for example, with Adam Smith. Adam Smith writing is not what you see in economic analysis today. They were just pure philosophical writing and people extracted and came up with those analyses. So we thought by coming up with this form like this, what I did was I went through those words and tried to see the relationship. I look at it in terms of relationship. How can I come up with an economic relationship at those levels? And then make some assumptions. In my writing, I did some assumptions on all those writing. And then the one which I'm developing now is even more refined. Through the data, I can try to see a pattern and maybe develop another kind of a higher model. So this is how we go. The first step is to put those writings from an economic perspective. Secondly is to give them this kind of relative quantification. And then thirdly is to collect the data so that we look at the reliability and validity of those data. And then we move on that way. Yeah. We know it may not be an easy task, but we will continue. So just finally to conclude, like what the brother was saying, and interestingly, he's in a game theory. In labor economics, we're doing something on a game theory. And that one was about rationality. So there were two economists who tried to prove whether every decision is made based on rationality, or there are things behind rationality. Are you with me? That was very interesting theory they did. So what they did was, there was a very nice field, green field, and in this field, beside the field there was a road. Can you imagine? Very nice hilly grass, beautiful hilly grass, and beside the grass there's a road. I'm sure in Indonesia, everywhere you have this kind of scenery. So on the nice grass, they put $100 on the grass. Okay? So the Pachi is walking near the grass, so he looks, there's $100. So he steps to go and pick up the dollar. Then behind the hill, a guard blew a whistle. He stops. He says, what is it? He says, why did you step on the grass? If you step on the grass, you have to pay $100. Don't you read the notice there? So the guy, after taking $100, gives back the $100 to the guard, and he starts walking, coming. So in front, there are people giving them interviewing them. Are you with me? So, are you angry or happy? They wanted to know, are you angry or happy? So they did this to several people. Somebody comes, step on the grass, takes the money, again, please, wait. You step on the grass, give the $100. They go and then they interview. Okay? So before I give you the answer, let me ask. If you were that person, will you be angry or happy? Huh?
None of the above.
You'll not be happy?
None of the above.
Huh?
I will not be angry or not.
Oh, okay. You're not angry, you're not happy.
No feelings.
Oh, inshallah, such a feeling.
And you'll be angry or happy?
Me?
I'm
hungry.
You're hungry, okay. Why?
Angry or hungry?
So what
Keep
about
on the job and
Just like when they fall blindness, there is a term called indulgence, then they feel that they enjoy their money, and when they release their money because they have to keep policy, then it feels like like there is a prospect theory. It says that the happiness you get from having the money is actually less than the absolute sadness when you give the money.
That's excellent. I like I'm coming to that. It's very good. Yes? Angry, why?
people are angry. I would rather be happy because
The angry why you show me this one.
it should be that I will be angry. Why not? It should be that if what is becomes memorialized.
They offset the mental balance sheet. So he has a problem already. So he becomes very angry. So the logic was that rationally they should not be angry. Because you got money and somebody took it. Isn't it? So rationally you should not be angry. But why they were angry? So they found that it's called beyond rationality. So that means sometimes certain things is not just about rationality, it goes beyond rationality. Yes. Bounded rationality, yes, exactly. Like the Nobel Prize, yeah. Okay, great. So, lastly but not least, just on the dot, and thank you very much. I was very worried that